Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope that you all are doing well, having a good week. It is a gray, rainy day here in Atlanta. But other than that, it's been a pretty good week, man. Pretty good week. Not a whole lot to talk about, unfortunately. A little bit of a buzzkill with the fights this weekend. We'll talk about that in just a second here. I want to pull up I want to make sure I say this word correctly. um, I'm going to completely butcher this word. Vergil Ortiz Jr. has been diagnosed with rhabdomyolysis. I think that's how you pronounce it. And apparently that is a condition where the uh, the muscles are breaking down and there's a protein that kind of leaks into your system that could become poisonous. It's almost like sepsis, and it can affect your kidney health. So he was diagnosed with this and had to withdraw from his fight this weekend. And not that this was like a huge fight or anything like that, but it was the fight I was looking forward to the most, because anytime Vergil Ortiz is in the ring, I'm watching, right? This weekend, if you look at all the matchups that we have, they're all kind of showcase matchups. ESPN has a card tomorrow out in New York. Edgar Berlanga is fighting Steve Rolls. That's kind of interesting because Rolls does have some experience, but pretty much everybody thinks Berlanga is going to win that. Xander Zayas fighting Quincy Levias. That's kind of interesting, but neither of those are great. Keyshawn Davis is going to fight, but he had to pull out. On the West Coast in Los Angeles, DAZN has a card from Golden Boy Promotions, and Golden Boy really needs this card. They are struggling right now because their top guys just have not been fighting, and their biggest star, quote unquote, I use that with air quotes, Ryan Garcia. He didn't really have a great 2021. Wasn't the most active fighter in the world, and they're really depending on him to get back in the ring. Anyway, Vergil Ortiz, their second, I think overall their best fighter right now. He was going to fight, but he had to pull out. He was going to fight Michael McKinson, who was going to make his American debut. He is now, McKinson, going to fight Jesus Antonio Perez Campos in a welterweight fight. If you haven't heard of Jesus Antonio Perez Campos, don't feel bad. Most haven't. But now the main event of that card that was going to be the co-main, it's been bumped up. Pretty interesting welterweight fight between Alexis Rocha and Blair Cobbs. That's a pretty interesting fight. And that's pretty much what you have to choose from as far as what's on TV. Now, in other parts of the world, there are some title fights. In Kyoto, Japan, Masamichi Yabuki and Kenshiro Taraji, they are going to have a rematch. Taraji had the junior flyweight title, the WBC junior flyweight title when they fought last year. Yabuki took it. Now they're going to do a rematch. That's not on TV or anything. And then Dubai, United Arab Emirates, of course. Sonny Edwards fighting Muhammad Wasim. That's a pretty interesting fight for Edwards' IBF flyweight title. Also on that card, Regis Prograis fighting Tyrone McKenna. That's probably become the most notable fight now, I would say, of the weekend, because Regis Prograis probably the most notable fighter who's fighting, even though Shaki Foster is fighting on that card as well. David Avanesian fighting Oskari Metz in London. So there's a lot of different fights going on. Unfortunately, none of these are really fights that we want. You know what I mean? They're mostly showcase matchups, and guys just staying busy. That's really what it is, more than anything else. It's just guys getting in the ring, knocking off some ring rust, which is good. But I should mention it that Regis Prograis, Sonny Edwards card, and also TJ Doheny, notable name, he's fighting on that card too. That is a Probellum card from Richard Schaefer. That's the new promotional outfit from Richard Schaefer. But there's no, it's way over in the UAE where he's going to get money. He's getting paid for this. So everyone's eating, but none of these fights are being televised anywhere that I know of. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that kind of sucks. Super chat pledge from Aaron. Thank you so much, my man. Aaron from Australia. Yo, Mike, guess who copped ringside tickets to Bradis versus the random Australian dude on the Gold Coast? Awesome, man. Cruiser is my favorite division. Also, rhabdomyolysis isn't a real diagnosis. Yeah, look, dude, I don't know much about it. I'm not going to claim I know. Let's talk about Vergil Ortiz. But Thank you for the super chat, Aaron. I really, really appreciate that, man. By the way, Nacho says it's 75 and sunny in California. Yeah, you're paying $6-7 for a tank of gas. I'm paying $4. And I have a house here that would cost $20 million in a shitty part of LA. So there's that. There's that. But yes, I do miss the California weather, brother. I do. But let's talk about this Vergil Ortiz thing. I've been asked by several of you guys whether I think that this is real or not. That is Vergil Ortiz making some shit up. Because there's rumors, of course, that he was having trouble making weight, this, that, the other. First of all, I don't think he is at all afraid of the opponent or ducking the opponent. No disrespect to the opponent. But I talked about this on TNC on Monday. McKinson has, I think, like 5 knockouts in 20-something fights. He has a very low knockout percentage. He's not a knockout guy. A little bit tricky of a style, the way he boxes and stuff, but nothing that I really thought. He wasn't going to trouble Ortiz, but I do think he was going to go rounds, which is good. He was going to give Ortiz some rounds and give him some stuff to learn from, a good style for him to get in the ring with and everything, mix it up with. But do I think he was really going to give Ortiz issues? No, of course not. I thought that even though this was kind of a showcase fight, I was still interested in it, but I favored Ortiz, like pretty much virtually everybody else. But here's my thought here, guys. When it comes to fighters in situations like this, I'm no doctor. I don't know anything about this rhabdomyolysis thing. And I'm probably completely butchering that name. I just looked it up on Wiki, to be completely honest with you guys. That's what, just like probably most of you did, right? I just looked it up on Wiki and read about it a little bit. But I tend to give fighters the benefit of the doubt with this stuff if they don't have a track record. With Vergil Ortiz, he's never missed weight. He's never pulled diva tactics. He's the least pain in the ass of all of Golden Boy Promotions' top fighters, okay? They have a diva in Ryan Garcia. Joseph Diaz Jr. is willing to fight anybody, but he's a little bit of a handful sometimes to deal with. So some of the guys that they have are colorful, difficult to deal with, all these strong personalities. Vergil Ortiz is very easy for them to deal with. He's low maintenance, right? Never pulled out of a fight, never missed weight, none of that stuff. So if they were having trouble making weight, I don't see why there is any reason. This is a non-title fight, right, that was going to have with McKinson, why they couldn't have contacted the McKinson camp and said, hey, man, we can't make 47. How about we settle on 150 and we pay you guys some extra cash? And some of you guys would say, oh, maybe they didn't want to break with the cash. Well, here's the thing. If you don't fight, you don't get paid at all. If you do fight and have to give your opponent a little bit of cash, at least you're still getting some money. You know what I'm saying? So not fighting means zero money. Fighting and paying your opponent a little bit extra, yeah, you're getting a little bit less money, but you're still getting paid. So I give Vergil Ortiz Jr. the benefit of the doubt here. And that's the way I tend to be with all fighters the first time around. Now, when there starts to become a track record of this, fighters missing weight, fighters pulling out of fights, fighters claiming injuries, there's no doctor's note ever produced, things like that, then I start to get suspicious. But that's just not the case with Ortiz. So I tend to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I don't think that it was a matchup that was, where him or his team would have been like, oh my God, we haven't had the best camp ever. We need to pull out here. This was kind of a knock off some rust, start off the year, start off the 2022 campaign type of matchup. That's what this was. And it didn't come through. So I'm going to give Ortiz benefit of the doubt unless I hear or see something that makes me suspicious. Aaron says that the ESPN headline about Rhabdo is clickbait. Perhaps. ESPN is definitely in the clickbait business. Definitely in the clickbait business. Rhabdomyolysis. I think I got it. Rhabdomyolysis. That sounds professional, right? We're going to go with that. Aaron says, I ran 10 miles yesterday and developed rhabdomyolysis yesterday. It literally just means breakdown of muscle protein from strenuous activity. That's basically that's what I've heard. It's not as if it's some sort of sickness or medical condition that you heal from. What I've heard is that it comes from overwork. So perhaps Ortiz was going a little too hard in camp, which is actually what I've heard about him before. He's a hard worker. He's not somebody that the trainers have to like poke and prod, like, hey, get your ass in the gym, right? He's a guy that they almost have to tell, slow down a bit. I've heard that about him a lot when it comes to sparring. I know some guys that he has sparred that have said, dude, he goes hard. And even when he was just a prospect, there were seasoned pros, title holders that wanted to get in there and spar with Vergil because he always gives hard work. So if you're a guy who's deep in camp and you're in really good shape, Vergil's a guy you want to spar. If you're just getting into camp and you're a little stiff and your reflexes aren't quite there yet, you might not want to spar Vergil yet. You might need a few weeks before you want to get in the ring with him. That's what I've heard. So this makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Okay. You know what? We've already got a phone call, so let's just jump into it because, you know, there's not a whole lot to talk about, guys. I don't know how long of a show we're going to do. All right, let's jump to 317. 317, you're on the show. What's going on?
Hey, Kel Brook here, and I just want to talk about my rematch with Amir Khan. You know, no, I can't do a good Kel Brook impression, but
that started off pretty good, Jack. You had it for like the first 3 words. You know, I could picture his bare ass in that photo walking on the beach, that weird photo he took with his trainer.
Jesus Christ. Have you seen the video of Dominic Ingle drinking his sweat?
Yeah, dude, what the that's a weird camp, dude. That is a weird camp. Anyway,
like,
what's up, Jack?
Even,
What's up, man?
Hey, I got a lot of stuff to say, so just let me get my piece, because
all right.
You've been blowing me off a little bit. I know you say you're busy and you're not a girl, so I'm not upset about you lying about that like all the time. So I'm not upset about that, and you're my guy, and you can do your own thing, and you're a good dude. But I just want to talk about a lot today because I think I actually think there's some pretty good fights this weekend.
All right, rant on, man, rant on.
Okay, so first off, before I talk about the fight, so I did a punch count on my channel. If you guys don't know, it's just Jack Alter on Canelo Plant. And dude, Caleb Plant, like, he actually did he surprise you in that fight?
No. It pretty much went the way I thought. I thought he'd have some success early on. I don't think he did enough to win more than a couple rounds, maybe 2 or 3, but he pretty much did what I thought. Started breaking down by the middle rounds.
Yeah, due to whatchamacallit, punch counts I did, the punch count, the stats, and I give a lot of swing rounds, so the fight would have been anywhere from 7-3 to Canelo or 6-4 to Plant, but Canelo's just so accurate with his power punches. So, yeah, I just wanted to say Plant's a great fighter, man. He's underrated. I still think he can do good stuff in the division. He's a good fighter.
I want to see him against Benavidez. I'd love to see that fight. Or him against Charlo if Charlo were to move up.
I think, yeah, what do you think? Benavidez, the Plant? I think Plant just
the problem with Plant, and I agree with you that Plant's a good talent. He's a good fighter, and he's a guy that's very comfortable in the ring. You know, he was a kickboxer before he got into boxing and everything. So he understands fighting. He has no power, dude. And that just, against a guy like Canelo, obviously that cost him, but against David Benavidez, who's just going to walk through everything he does, I just think Benavidez will probably wear him down late after being down. I definitely think Plant would be up in that fight halfway through for sure.
But what about his jab? Don't you think he has a top 10 jab in the sport? I definitely think he does.
Maybe.
Order. Here's my top 10 jabs. Yeah, top 10 jabs in the sport. Jermall Charlo, like I said, no order. Jermall Charlo, Triple G, Bivol, Plant, maybe Inoue or Usyk up there, and some other guys.
Crawford.
But yeah, I'd say Terrence Crawford too. Nacho says, why is he talking about Plant? He's out here rejecting Benavidez, but accepting Anthony Durrell. Didn't you go on a rant like how dumb that is, that's news? And first of all, I don't think he rejected Benavidez.
Well, it depends on who you believe. And again, it's hard to tell with the PBC guys what's really going on. Per reports, Plant rejected the fight. Per reports. Now, who the hell knows? I honestly don't know, and I don't really go into. I just ignore all that noise. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that's just internet speculation. But it seems to me that Benavidez really wanted that fight. And I don't know if it broke down over money or what's going on, but I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, and one more thing about your previous show, man, that fuck top rank thing in the intro, that just made me laugh so hard. This guy was so serious about it. He was just like, yeah, and one of the guys, their intro to the channel, like, has a fighter saying, fuck top rank. I was just like,
I want to know who it
is.
is. It's hilarious.
No, yeah, me too. Like, imagine if it's like if it's like a remix or something, it's like
yeah, right. Yeah, I want to hear like a hip hop remix. They change the octave full top rank, or do like a hard metal remix or some shit. That'd be hilarious. Techno or something.
Yeah. But the Blair Cobb fight, man, I think I'm pretty good at predictions. Would you say I'm pretty good at fight predictions?
Yeah, you get it right most of the time. Yeah, from your predictions you made on the show. Hey, you put it out there that you say Bivol's going to beat Canelo pretty handedly, so we're going to hold you to that. We'll see.
Dude, okay,
you called Usyk Joshua spot on. You got Usyk Joshua spot on.
Yeah.
So
you met me in real life. Would you say I'm kind of built like Canelo?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'd say so.
Like I have big legs like him. I'm kind of
shorter, stockier guy. Yeah. I can see that.
One thing that I do that I know he does, the way he fights. You notice how he kind of walks towards the opponent. He doesn't have like light feet. He just has like flat feet, and he just walks towards his opponent.
Yeah, I mean, but when he's fighting a taller guy that's backing up, it works for him. When he's in there with a guy like Triple G, it's a little different. When he gets in there with Charlo, Andre, it's going to be a little different. But right now at 168, 175, that style works for him.
Yeah, but I have similar, and for me, like with my big legs, I feel comfortable standing in one place, and that's what Canelo does. I feel comfortable walking around. I know I'm not comparing myself to Canelo because dude would kill me in one round, but I am built. I have a similar build, and I have had some amateur experience, and I understand. I fight. My lower body looks just like him, so he kind of has some what I call like lazy legs. And you have to admit, against Bivol, he's gonna have to move a lot. Wouldn't you agree to go catch up to Bivol?
I think what Canelo's going to do is just try to time Bivol, because it's Bivol that's going to be moving around a lot, in and out. Canelo's going to move one direction, and it's going to be up to Bivol to utilize that lateral movement, backing up and everything like that. To force Canelo to do something different. If Canelo doesn't have to do anything different, why would he?
Yeah, but I brought up the legs comparison because Canelo, it makes him uncomfortable. Like me, it makes me uncomfortable when I have to move around a lot and chase somebody. Canelo wants to fight with like hand-to-hand combat right near you. He doesn't want to have to move around. And with Bivol, and dude, like honest question, if that shot that hurt Joe Smith Jr., like let's say Canelo didn't see it coming, that shot at the end of the Bivol fight that hurt Joe Smith Jr., do you think if that shot landed on Canelo, it would hurt him? I probably think it would.
If he doesn't see it coming, sure. But if he sees it coming and rolls with it, I think he'll be okay. I honestly think that I got an idea of how Canelo is going to fight this fight, but I think it's one of those things that we're going to know within the first two rounds if Bivol really has a shot. I don't see Bivol being down in this fight and coming back late. He's going to have to start really fast, and we're going to have to see something early on. It's kind of like in the Fury Wilder rematch, in that the end of that first round when Fury landed a jab that knocked Wilder back like 8 feet. It was like, holy shit, this fight's over. You just knew. You knew. We got to see something like that early from Bivol, or else it's going to be typical Canelo, in my opinion.
Well, Bivol is, and I'm going to straight up say this. I think that John Pascal is physically stronger and a harder puncher than Canelo. What do you think about that?
Well, he was also on steroids, so I'd agree with you. He's been on steroids for the last few years, so yeah, it probably was.
Okay, Joe Smith Jr. Do you think he's
Joe Smith is one of the strongest dudes in the sport. Beterbiev is up there. Of course, Anthony Joshua, but he's a heavyweight. But like non-heavyweight, Smith is strong as hell.
Joe Smith, Beterbiev. It's like confirmed for June 18th.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Joe Smith versus, I think at MSG, right? I think it's MSG.
Yeah,
That's an awesome fight, dude. That's an awesome. So like the schedule is shit right now, but it's gonna start getting good real soon.
dude, Joe Smith, I might favor him in that fight.
I don't know.
What do you think?
Yeah, he has improved lately, man. It is interesting because again, if that fight happened a couple years ago, everybody would be saying, "Oh man, but Turbiev is just going to plow through him." But I don't know. I don't know because Smith is definitely the hardest puncher that Beterbiev has been in there with, and we've seen Smith fight with a broken fucking jaw for 10 rounds or whatever it was. So I think twice he's fought with a broken jaw. So dude's tough. So that's going to be fun, man. That's just straight up violence. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, but back to Bivol Canelo. I think Canelo is going to get countered because Bivol's a great counter puncher. Aaron says, I'm jealous of your boxing knowledge. Whether that, I'm going to take that as it, to me, thank you. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, Mike does know his shit, definitely. The only time he's ever been wrong about anything, it wasn't even about boxing. He thought the Dexter New Blood ending was good, which is very strange because Mike's a smart guy. But
I need to do a video about this. Jack is Dexter obsessed, and he hated the ending to the new Dexter. I thought overall it was pretty good. It wasn't great.
Plot holes, Mike.
The whole show had fucking plot holes. The whole fucking show. But we're getting way off subject, Jack. We're gonna lose everybody here, baby.
Okay.
We gotta keep it focused.
Okay.
But
okay.
But yeah, I might start doing some videos on some TV shows and shit because man, there's just so much crap. I could just rip it all apart. It's so predictable. That's the problem with Dexter. It was extremely predictable. Anyway, sorry. Back to boxing. What else you got, man? We got some other calls. What's up, Jack? We got some other calls here.
Yeah. One more thing, and then I wanted to talk about the Steve Rolls Berlanga fight. I want to finish up the Bivol Canelo talk, and then I'm done because I know you got calls. But so I think Canelo is going to try to body punch, and I think Bivol's just going to counter punch his body punching all day. That's what I think. And Canelo has trouble avoiding jabs. Bivol has an amazing jab. Bivol, do you think Bivol, like Canelo, can knock him out with one shot? Because Joe Smith landed like his best punch on Dimitri Bivol, and it didn't put him down.
Yeah, Bivol has shown a very, very good chin. The only thing with Canelo is the trajectory of the punches are going to be very different. They're going to be coming from a different angle. And that was also very late in the fight when Smith hit Bivol. And so he was tired, so it's a little different.
And Bivol makes 168 fairly comfortably, and that helps having a good chin. Like Sergey Derevyanchenko, like extremely hydrated and a little like he doesn't like cut weight at all. He's perfect. Same with Bivol. So these guys, when they take punches, they have a lot of water and their brain's hydrated, their body's fully filled out. They didn't have to worry about cutting. So I talked to Bivol.
Really I talked to Bivol a little bit this week. I talked to him a couple days ago, and he could pretty much make weight now. So he's ready. He's really excited perfect. About this. He's wanted it for years. So he's ready to go.
Okay, last thing about this. What's your right now, what's your prediction? I assume you're gonna say Canelo split decision.
Yeah, Canelo points.
I don't know, man. I just don't see that happening. Even because Mayweather won so many rounds, I think Bivol will win like just as many rounds. He might even stop Canelo late just due to styles, man. I'm telling you, that's what's so horrible. The style matchup. It's just fucking nightmare. But okay, anyways. Berlanga and Steve Rolls. So yeah, it's at 75. Toby Barlett. Not 168, my bad. But dude, not because I was at that fight, Steve Rolls versus Triple G, and Triple G's my boy, but Edgar Berlanga, I think he's extremely overrated. I think the guy is shown to get hurt easily. He's knocked out in the amateurs, and the Cocheras guy, who's not that hard of a puncher, dropped him in his last fight and hurt him multiple times. And as soon as he stepped up in competition, he started going the distance. And the Cocheras guy, I don't know. Did you see that fight?
Yeah.
Cocheras Berlanga. Berlanga, even Steve Rolls, he's a good boxer, and he got knocked out by the best punch in Triple G's arsenal, an overhand left from the southpaw stance that knocked anyone in boxing out, 175 below. That's like perfect punch. You got hit with it and it knocked him out. he took some big punches in that fight with Golovkin, and I think Golovkin's a harder puncher than Berlanga. And I don't know if you remember, he snapped Triple G's head back a few times, landed some really good punches and some combinations. So I think Steve Rolls might even beat him. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't shock me at all. I could see anything playing out. I could see Berlanga landing an explosive punch in the early mid rounds that hurts Rolls. I could see Rolls boxing circles around the dude. It really could go either way. So it's a pretty interesting fight. It really is. It's a nice little step up for Berlanga at this point.
Yeah, and one more thing, man. This is the last thing, I promise. I'm definitely thinking about getting back into like the boxing scene, like amateur boxing. And you're a big, so I gotta talk to you about like going gym so we can meet up and work out sometime if you're cool with that.
Yeah. I just this is my second week back in. I got some stuff lined up for later this spring. So.
Yeah, and then I wanted to ask you, when it comes to like working out, do you eat before you work out or after? Because when I was talking to people, it was really mixed responses. I prefer like eating, and then like I work out like 2 hours after.
Yeah.
What about you?
If you're trying to cut weight, and I won't go too long into this now, but like, because I've experimented a lot, and what I find is that you really should, in my opinion, the intermittent fasting stuff doesn't work good if you're training really hard and sparring and doing hard boxing sessions. If you're lifting weights and doing just stuff like that, it works great. But for boxing, dude, you got to eat first. Don't go nuts, but eat something with some carbs before you train. After you train, especially if you're training in the AM, I'm doing 2-a-days, or I'm sorry, if you train in the PM, right? Because you have AM, PM. After your PM session, you should just eat like meat and veggies after that. You don't want carb up right before going to bed. But so far I've been doing that last couple of weeks. It's worked a lot better for me. Yeah, you definitely eat first, in my opinion.
Yeah, my stomach kind of hurts sometimes if I don't get a like full belly in and I'm working out super hard. I even get like lightheaded if I don't eat enough. But anyways, I'm gonna end this off with my Montero impression. Hey, what's up? How you doing, man? Yeah, good to see you, man.
That was terrible. All right, Jack. Have a good weekend, man.
All right, man. Good to talk, man.
All right,
have a good one.
All right, peace. That impression was hilarious. That could have been anybody. All right. We got a couple super chats here, guys. Let me catch up on these real quick. CJ in the house. Thanks for the super chat, man. He says Charlo ducking Mike Tyson. Right? I don't know, man. You guys see Mike Tyson this week? He released some gummies, some marijuana gummies with the shape like Evander Holyfield's ear, and there's a little chunk missing. I got to admit, it's pretty genius. People are going to buy that shit. The dude has found a niche. He really has found a niche with that stuff. And then Trent Nonpareil with the super chat. Thank you so much, Trent. He says, Zach Parker can replace Bivol, sanction Russia. Ooh, you're getting political. You're getting political there, Trent. I'm going to say I'm going to disagree with you on that. I understand both sides of that argument. I truly do. But to me, Dmitry Bivol, I don't look at him as a representative of the Russian government. I understand they, what was it? FIFA, I think, banned the Russian football team. I completely understand that. If there's a Russian national team or like a national orchestra or something like that that represents the country, the government of Russia, cool. But Dmitry Bivol represents himself. His father's Moldovan. His mother, I think, was Korean. And he lives in Russia and everything, but his background and everything else is not at all representative of the Russian nation as far as being a government official or like a team that represents the country or something. So I would say ban Russia from the Olympics, ban Russia from any international competition, ban any national team or any national government representative. 100% on board with you. But to ban anybody of Russian nationality, you get to a place where you can get, there's a very fine line where you can get to a place where you're starting to get a little McCarthyism, xenophobia, even a borderline ethnic prejudice and things. It's a scary place, dude. And I just don't know because I don't know, the Russian people don't seem to be really behind this. It seems to be Putin. So anyway, I don't want to go too much more into that. All right. Because I don't want to get too political. By the way, there's a guy on Twitter today, and I blocked him. He's just a fucking troll, but he was bashing me, this, that, the other, like normal. But he said, all I do on my show is talk about myself. I got to ask you guys, is that true? Do I talk about myself too much? I really don't think I do that. I absolutely give my opinions, and I like to share a little bit of my personal life with you guys, but I don't think I do that over the top, do I? Usually at the top of the show, I'll tell you what I did over the weekend with my wife or with friends, family, when people visit or we visit. But that's about it, right? I think this person was just being a fucking moron. But I trust your guys' judgment. If I do talk about that kind of stuff too much and it annoys you, just tell me and I'll stop. I just like to share it because I think you guys like hearing it. All right, back to the phones we go. Nacho is on the line. What's up, my man?
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Not much. You're right as far as that's disappointing that Vergil fell out this weekend. I was looking forward to seeing him. I don't know about this whole deal where people are kind of accusing him of having been overweight going into the fight. Even Steve Kim kind of put something out there on Twitter that he said people were telling him he was overweight a few weeks ago.
He was heavy in the gym.
Going into the fight, he was heavy. And I'm like, I don't know about that. That kid never looks like he's out of shape when he's working out to get ready for a fight. So I'm having trouble believing that. I mean, whatever it was, I just hope the kid gets better and he gets out there again soon because, he needs to be active, unlike some of these other guys who, they're not going to fight more than maybe twice a year. So it's beneficial for him to fight at least 3 times a year until, he becomes a legitimate star. The fight that took over, Rocha Cobbs, I think that's going to be an interesting fight. I'm definitely going to want to see that because both guys are kind of on the same level in that they're both prospects looking to kind of springboard themselves into possibly being a contender at 47. And so I'm definitely going to be interested to see who ends up winning that fight. I personally think that Rocha has fought the tougher competition.
Yeah.
And I think he's a little bit better of a fighter overall.
Me too.
So I'm picking him to win that fight. But, I mean, you never know. Cobbs could land something and then it turns the fight and, who knows. But just real quick, I don't know if you read, Mike, McKinson, the second guy they got to replace Vergil, apparently they had to replace him this morning because the guy was apparently almost 28 pounds overweight.
Holy shit. No, I didn't. 28 pounds?
You didn't hear that? Yeah.
No.
Jake Donovan wrote an article this morning and he even tweeted it out. Apparently, the guy came in yesterday and weighed in, and the guy weighed like 27, almost 28 pounds over the fucking welterweight limit.
Holy shit.
And so
that's a fucking light heavyweight.
The guy, and he literally came in as a light heavyweight, and they had to drop him. And now he has another opponent, a guy named Alex Martin, who I've never heard of. So they literally had another guy on standby in case this guy that they brought in wasn't going to be able to fight. So I was like, oh my God, this is just a bad sign for McKinson. I hope for his sake he ends up winning the fight and he gets out of there. But man, this is a terrible, terrible luck for him to have the two guys.
Dude, I'm looking up.
Fall out.
Alex Martin, he's a southpaw out of Chicago. Doesn't have a lot of power. He's only got 6 knockouts and 20 bouts, but he has been in there with some decent fighters. Miguel Cruz, Bryant Perella. He does have like Angel Fierro, so he's got some experience. He's going to give McKinson a fight.
Okay. Oh, all right. Well, that's all I asked for. I mean, I would hate to see him just randomly fight some tomato can, but yeah, the second guy they had to pull out today, Mike, it was crazy. I was like, wow.
That's nuts.
I was like, I've never seen that. Yeah. And then real quick with the Berlanga Rolls. I already talked about that. I think Berlanga's going to win that fight. I don't really put too much stock in Steve Rolls. I mean, he hasn't beaten anybody of note, and he's got kind of a built-up record. So I think Berlanga's going to figure out a way to beat him. I just find it kind of funny that people are just bashing the dude now. I'm not completely off the Berlanga train. I think the kid has talent.
Yeah.
I think he just let certain things go to his head, and
that knockout streak fucked him up, bro. It's stupid. That's stuff like that is the worst thing you could do with a prospect, man.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what, put him in the situation where he was believing his own hype, and now that he's fighting guys who can take a punch, now he's seen that it's not easy to knock everybody out. But he needed that. He needed to be able to develop and go rounds and kind of face some adversity. So I think he'll be better for it, and he should win the fight. And then Zayas, like I said, he's going to win that fight. Like I said, I'm just looking forward to Prograis McKenna tomorrow. I want to see how Prograis looks. He weighed in at under 140. Mike, he came in at slightly under 139 for the fight.
First time since Taylor.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy to see he made weight and isn't fighting over 140 like he had been recently. So I'm curious to see how he performs tomorrow, having made weight. And just the last thing, obviously you didn't hear about the thing with McKinson. Probellum just put out a story a little while ago. They signed Catterall to a deal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
that's Catterall's on that roster. Yeah, he's on that roster. I didn't even know he was a free agent. I thought he was still under contract with Frank Warren, but
I guess that was his last fight with him. Maybe?
Yeah, it might have been his last fight. Yeah, but they announced today that they signed him to their roster. So if Prograis wins, maybe we get Prograis Catterall. That wouldn't be a bad fight.
Not at all. Sign me up for that shit. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. So yeah, should be. All right, Mike. That's my call.
All right, thanks a lot, Nacho. Have a great weekend, brother.
Yeah. You too.
Peace. Yeah, man. I like to hear. Let me get to some of these comments here. Aaron says, "If every American athlete is every American athlete required to speak out against Biden's disastrous Afghan campaign in order to be able to compete?" Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't want to get into the current president or any of that stuff. Okay, I'm just saying there's a slippery slope. There's a slippery slope with this stuff now. James Hunt in the chat, and this is referring to Bivol and all Russian fighters being canceled. James Hunt says it's the same as the USA packing Japanese in camps after Pearl Harbor. I wouldn't say it's the same. And James continues, it's discrimination based on nationality. Yeah. And the particular evil of that was that a lot of those Japanese folks that were put into those camps were American. Some of them were born in Japan, or maybe their parents were born in Japan. But there were some people put in camps that have been here in America for generations. By the way, the media doesn't tell you, but they put Italians in those camps too. There were Italian Americans put in those camps in California. The media does not talk about that, but it did happen. Not as much as the Japanese, but Italians were put in those camps. I've talked to people who had family members that were taken out of their homes and shipped to these camps in California just because they were Italian American. It happened. Aaron in the chat says, I enjoy the life and times of one Michael Montero. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. Again, if you guys don't want me ever talking about my family, my wife, my home renovations, or any of my stuff, okay, I won't. But, I tend to talk a little bit more about that stuff on Friday because we're on my personal channel. And, I give a little bit more of my life opinions and worldview on stuff, a little bit more. I sprinkle it in. But if that truly, truly annoys you guys, then of course I'd stop. I do this show for you guys. That's why we do this thing on Friday, just so everyone can get ready for the weekend. You don't want to have a beer, chill, relax. I can't have a beer right now because I'm back in training. But yeah, that's what it's about, man. So Adam P says this Golden Boy card is a disaster. Daniel Rios seconds that. He says it's a cursed card. Yeah, dude, it seems to be a little cursed right now. I'll say this, man. Golden Boy Promotions needs this. This card will go on. Rain, snow, or shine, this card will go on because Golden Boy needs some money. They haven't had an event in a while. You guys got to remember, Golden Boy Promotions is headquartered in Los Angeles. Of course, that's in California. And the leaders of California are the most authoritarian in regards to the whole COVID thing and everything else. These politicians are going to get their hair done at salons that their mandates literally shut down. But there's video of Nancy Pelosi, not to get overly political, but Nancy Pelosi going to get her hair done at a salon that she shut down with her mandates, and so, co-signed on these mandates that shut it down. And she had no mask on during the height of mask hysteria. Who's the idiot running the country? Gavin Newsom, or the state. Gavin Newsom. He went to French Laundry and dropped thousands upon thousands of dollars, whether it was him and his friends, on the taxpayer's dime, while telling everyone in California to stay at home. All right, I'll stop with all that. But those authoritarian restrictions in that state have really affected businesses there. And that, of course, that includes Golden Boy. So all of the club shows and stuff that Golden Boy normally does, which there's a lot of throughout the year that Golden Boy does in LA and around LA within an hour or two driving radius, like in the Inland Empire. And there's some small casinos around there if you drive north of town and stuff, where they do shows, and they haven't been able to do them for a while. So they're in the red. They need to get this show going. So it's definitely going to happen, but it's definitely a cursed show for sure. Trent with another super chat. Thank you so much, Trent. He says, yeah, since Schmeling boxed Lewis, Bivol should be allowed. That's a good point. Much different time. I mean, you're going almost a century ago, but Schmeling was much more connected to the German government and much more representative of the German government. If you think about it, I mean, the German government was talking about that matchup and throwing parades and whatnot for Schmeling when he beat Lewis. So that is not at all what's happening with Dimitri Bivol right now. It's just a completely different situation. So yeah, if Schmeling was allowed to box, remember that was in the United States, I think Bivol should be too. That's just my personal opinion. And I know some of you out there would disagree with it. That's okay. That's okay. We can do that. And again, I understand both sides of the argument. It's not that I don't understand the argument for that. It's just that I don't see how telling Dimitri Bivol he can't fight Canelo Alvarez and feed his family is going to somehow get Putin to stop doing what he's doing in Ukraine. Putin's been lining this up for the last 13 months, 14, 15 months. And the current administration poked the bear a little bit, and the media, everyone's making a lot of money right now. But don't worry, guys. Once they all make their money, midterms are coming. I think some of this will kind of slow down a little bit once those things approach. I'll just stop right there. All right, back to the phones. 216. I think it's Cleveland. You're on the show. What's going on?
Hey, Mike. This is Justin calling out of Columbus, Ohio. From
Columbus.
Ohio. How's it going, man?
What's up, Justin? How you doing, man?
Yeah. Good, man. I'm a long-time listener, and I follow you on Twitter. We interact here and there, but big fan of the show, man.
Cool. Thank you.
But yeah, anyway, I want to talk about the Vergil Ortiz situation a little bit. Nacho kind of stole my thunder, but I wanted to know what you thought about that, because from everything I've seen from Ortiz and his dad and their kind of MO doing things, they don't seem like the type to be like trying to skirt their way out of a fight at the last minute. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't seem right to me. So that's why, to me, especially Rhabdo, that's a serious, that's like excruciating pain. That's a serious illness. Like, that takes you out. So I don't see like them like making that up and like, what, is he faking being in the hospital or something? Like, I don't get that.
Yeah, when I think of muscles breaking down, like I read about what it is, it sounds pretty fucking brutal. It sounds like it would suck, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know some guys like wrestled with in high school like came down with that, and it's
oh, no shit.
It's the real deal. It's not like a flu or something. Like it kind of like fucks you up and like immobilizes you. But yeah, so I was just wondering if there's any news on that, but hopefully that gets resolved soon. He gets better. And
well, let me ask you this, dude.
I'm pretty high on him. I think he's good for the sport, and I like the way he kind of does things.
I am too, and I wanted to ask you. You said you knew people who had this. Was it something that just happened once, or did it happen multiple times with them once it started? Do you know?
as far as I know, it only happened once,
Okay.
but this was just like mutual friends in high school. So I don't know the details, but as far as I know, it's just like, kind of popped up and that was it. But
Okay.
yeah, kind of a freaky thing, but I don't know. He's also a pretty young guy. So maybe kind of growing into form a little bit. Maybe that kind of factors in if you're training super hard. I don't know.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that it comes from overworking yourself in the gym. So I just hope that it's a one-time thing.
That they think Ortiz needs to move up. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think he's like big for the weight class?
He will. Him and Jaron Ennis will be middleweights one day. They will both be middleweights one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen it. They're big guys.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely interesting to watch. I like Ennis too a lot. I think both these guys are good for the sport and kind of a different page from some of the Spence Crawford type, business career oriented type moves. At least at this point, they're still pretty young, so who knows what will happen there.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm a fan of both of them. I just hope they kind of stay on the course,
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Also the whole David Benavidez thing and like the Charlo. I know you mentioned the Mike Tyson podcast interview with Charlo, and I didn't watch that whole thing, but I watched a clip of it. And yeah, it kind of seems like Jamal was kind of almost like dismissive of what Tyson was trying to tell him. Like, dude, you need to. If the number one guy is not available or not ready, go for number two. Like, and Jamal was just kind of like, oh well, the value's not there, and he's kind of just like downplaying. I'm like, dude, I don't know, it just made me laugh.
It's hard to, as a fight fan, especially, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 42. I grew up in an era where dudes
27.
fought each other. So it's just hard to see these guys now say shit like that and like be a fan of them when there are guys in the sport who are willing to fight everybody. It's hard to be a fan of that.
Yeah, and I've definitely like become more of a Canelo fan as time goes on because I mean, at least he's like going after it. I mean, that's the thing that kills me with some of these guys, especially on Twitter, to talk about, Charlo and Benavidez. I don't understand like why people are so high on Benavidez. It seems to me the only thing he's good at is getting stripped of that WBC title. Who has he actually beat that he's like this world beater that Canelo is ducking and afraid of? I don't get like where that narrative comes from, other than he's at 168 and with PBC.
He's according to the eye test, he looks like he'd be a tougher challenge than Plant and Saunders and guys like that. But in terms of his resume, you're absolutely right, bro. He hasn't beat any fighters better than those guys have. In fact, his resume might be worse. So, he looks like the real deal. We just don't know.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, and I definitely hope to see that Canelo Bivol fight. I mean, that's a real test. I know since Canelo's about to fight him, now everybody's got to act like Bivol is garbage. That's kind of the MO. Yeah. But that's a challenge for Canelo. But I think he'll beat him. Should be interesting.
I think it's his best fight since the Golovkin rematch for Canelo. It's his toughest opponent since Triple G.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely looking forward to that. It'll be exciting. As far as the whole, situation with Bivol and all that, and the sanction situation or whatever they're talking about, I definitely don't agree with that. Like someone kind of alluded to, if we want to go down that slippery slope of banning athletes who are from a country that wages war, you know what I mean? That's a road we probably should be careful on as Americans. Yeah. We don't need to go down that whole route, but
America has been in the war business.
I don't think we should do that
for a long time.
Like 80% of every year since our existence. Yeah, we're good at war. We should probably not. Obviously, needless to say, don't support anything going on in Russia at all. But to punish Bivol, I think that's it's trying to signal more than actually have any sort of impact. That's not going to change Putin's mind that Bivol is going to get screwed out of a fight.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't agree with that at all. But anyway, that's about all I had. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I did want to finally call in.
I appreciate it, man. Call in again. All right. Have a good weekend, bro.
All right, man. Appreciate it. You too. Take care.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think just to put it perfectly, I mean, it's a slippery slope. And if Americans take a look in the mirror boy, do we start a lot of wars. And boy, do we like to pretend we don't start certain conflicts in other parts of the world, when if you really look at what America does behind the scenes, and NATO too, NATO's a big one. Boy, NATO and the United States love poking the bear. Love poking the bear. So if we're going to start banning athletes, that, we're going to ban American athletes too. Does does Tom Brady and LeBron James, do they have anything to do with what this president or the former president or the next president's going to do? No, they don't. All right. On the chat here, Aaron asks, Mike, why is Canelo such a heavy favorite over Dimitri Bivol? I cannot wrap my head around it all. Yeah, I understand why you say that, dude. I think Canelo is a big betting favorite because, well, there's several different reasons, but he's the number one guy in the sport. It's in Las Vegas. As several of you have mentioned in the chat, Bivol is a Russian guy. Bivol could win 11 rounds, and there's going to be some judges that are not going to want to give him this decision. I'm sorry. I hate to be that way, guys. But the last time we saw a high-profile Russian go in against a high-profile North American-based fighter, Sergey Kovalev versus Andre Ward, you guys remember what happened. Let's also not forget Gennady Golovkin is half Russian. Okay. He's more Russian than anything else. He's a quarter Kazakh, a quarter Korean, half Russian. He went into Vegas up against the establishment North American based fighter, Canelo Alvarez, first fight, particularly. I won't even talk about the second fight. We remember what happened. Now, with the situation going on in Ukraine, Bivol, who is much less of a name than even Kovalev, if we're being honest, but particularly lesser name than Golovkin, going up against Canelo. I just, if you look at the odds, dude, and you look at the track record, it's pretty obvious to see why Canelo is such a heavy favorite. I would, at this point, I may change my mind, but I would say at this point, it's a pretty comfortable bet. Bet Canelo points, bet the over. It's probably likely going the distance, Canelo points. That's what I would say. Again, we got some time. We got a couple months, right? I might change my mind on that. Adam says Canelo shouldn't be such a heavy favorite, but they won't give the win to a Russian. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely make that argument. Oh, we got another Aussie in the house. Barry in the chat says, good day, y'all. Or good day, all. Sorry, I said y'all. It's good day, all for you guys. Sorry. Looks like Aaron and Barry possibly going to the fights over there this weekend. You guys enjoy that. Have fun. Adam says, Bivol lives in St. Petersburg and is a Russian citizen. No way they give him the win. Yeah, I don't know. CJ Duncan says, Stevenson versus Valdez is at the MGM Grand. I'll make them open top, or it'll make them open top section tickets. They're selling well. I hope that show sells well because it's a damn good fight, man. Damn good fight. That's probably the matchup I'm looking forward to the most so far this year. If you think about it, because what fight was Chocolatito was supposed to fight Estrada, but that got blown up. So Barry says, Mike, you look 50. Are you telling us I don't look 50? Stop it. I do not look 50. I am kind of tired today, so maybe I look 50 today. All right. Well, we got a bunch of you guys in the chat are talking about this Bivol thing. It's definitely touching people. Again, guys, it's a delicate situation, and a situation over there in Ukraine and Russia is very complicated. There are people in Ukraine that are more loyal to Russia than Ukraine. There are people in Russia that are more loyal to Ukraine than Russia. There's a lot of just intermingling. It's just like Bivol said in the recent interview. He's like, I have friends and family in both countries. So I'm kind of, he was basically saying, I'm Switzerland on this thing. I just, I want nothing to do with it. I just wish it'd be all over. I think that's how a lot of people in that part of the world feel. I really, truly do. At least that's what I've gathered from talking to different people over there. All right, back to the phones we go. Let's get back to the phones here. We got 262 on the line. What's up? How you doing?
Hey, Paisan, it's Johnny Boy. How you doing?
Johnny Boy, what's up, man? How are you? Long time no talk, bro.
Good. Yeah, it's been a while. I hope everything's good. I hope the fam's good and everything with your brother. Fucking, how's the weather down there in Atlanta?
It was like 80 degrees 2 weeks ago. Then it snowed last Saturday. Today it's like 40 and rainy. So it's just all over the fucking place. But it's all good, man.
Yeah, that's all it was up in Milwaukee too, bro. It was like 65 and beautiful yesterday. Today it's 30 and rainy.
Yeah.
But with the Vergil Ortiz, I don't think it's fair to say that he is trying to pull some shenanigans there. I mean, if it was somebody like Benavidez, who is got, like you say, like got the track record a little bit there. He's missed weight a couple of 3 times there. He's had the coke and all that other shit. I would say fine, okay, you can accuse him whatever you want, but he's like you say, you don't get the track record of doing that.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I think, give the kid the benefit of the doubt. And by the way, I do that with everybody the first time. But once there's a track record, like you said, Benavidez, he can't lay off that white girl. So, I would be suspicious. If that dude pulls out of a fight real quick, it'd be like, oh, shit, okay, something might be going on here. But this time around, I just don't see it that way. Vergil Ortiz loves to fight, man. He's low maintenance, and he lives the lifestyle. So I think he's probably devastated about this shit.
Well, and like you say too, he's not a Benavidez, he's not a Ryan Garcia where he's gonna make up a big and I'd say what I feel about that kid, but we won't go there. But
by the way, Nordic Warrior is on the chat. He says what's up to you. He said to tell me to say what's up to you. So
yeah, but I think that's a little jumping the gun there, accusing Vergil Ortiz anything. He seems like a good kid, so I don't give him the benefit of the doubt, like you say. If shit keeps coming up like that in the future, then But for now, I don't think that's fair to start throwing accusations at the kid. So, but the other thing I was dude. I think we need to be a little bit. I see a lot of people say a lot of nasty shit about to change subjects a little bit about Arum there. The guy's giving us frickin' Shakur Valdez for free. If that was the Showtime or the Fox, they'd be charging you $90 for it.
Mm-hmm.
If it was he gave us Loma Tiafimo for free. He gave us Taylor Ramirez, the undisputed fight, for free. He's given us the frickin' Viterbi of Joe Smith fight for. All of them frickin' things would be $80 pay-per-views if they was on the other network over. So I think it's a little
completely agree with you, man. The only fight that PBC has given us post-pandemic that compares to any of those is Charlo Castaño, which was on regular Showtime. That's it.
Yeah.
Every other matchup that's on that level has been pay-per-view. Every single one. So, I got to give Bob Arum and Top Rank some credit. You just do.
Yeah, and you know what my whole thing is with Arum and Top Rank and ESPN and them guys. I don't think they have the biggest stable of guys. I mean, they got some people over there, don't get me wrong, but they always try to do the best with what they have. That's the way I always looked at it. Yeah, I don't know if you would agree to.
What was Top Rank?
Extent there, but yeah, they don't have like the biggest stable. But
they don't do that shit, dude. They don't do like the. Yeah. Trying to think of what to compare it to. Like when you look at like Costco, like a store like Costco versus a smaller store that's a little more niche, right? Top Rank signs a certain amount of fighters. They have a business plan with every fighter they sign, and they do a build with every fighter that they sign. From Jamel Herring playing the Marine Corps angle, right? To every single fighter, they'll find an angle and market them. Michael Conlon being Irish, he's always going to fight around St. Patrick's Day. He's always going to fight in March, right? They'll find something like that. And they keep it simple. They don't overpay their fighters. They pay them at market rate. They understand the international market and the international money that comes in. So what gets reported here in America versus what's actually coming in globally, sometimes those figures are very different. And they're set up well with the infrastructure, with ESPN's app and all that kind of stuff going on. So they're I wouldn't say they're crushing it right now, but this market's pretty fucked up right now in boxing and American boxing. They're doing pretty good. They're doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's I agree. I mean that frickin' I can't believe that the Showtime and them had the frickin' call to put that Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero. Are you fucking? Excuse my French.
Nah, you're good. You're good, man.
For $80.
Dude,
Yeah,
what's crazy, John? People are fucking defending it. No, what's crazy is people are defending that shit. You know, I looked at that schedule.
Yeah.
That schedule they just put out, and there's some good fights on that schedule. That Tank versus Raleigh fight might be the worst fight. The only fight that might be worse is Charlo Sulecki. But the worst fucking fight on that schedule, or the second worst fight, is on pay-per-view. That's crazy. And they're justifying it by saying Tank is a star. 150,000 people will buy that shit. 200,000 max. That is not a star. That is not a star.
No. And you know, I mean, bro, I'm just thinking like back when I was boxing some, when I was in my late teens and shit and early 20s, you know, when I had the Joe Smith going on where I was working construction part-time and doing that, you know, I'm like, dude, I would have fucking beat this kid's ass for fun. You know, not to be Mr. Dago tough guy up here, you know, but, you know, but, you know, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know, Rolly Rolly Romero, that kid don't have any balance. He don't got a jab. He don't move his head like I would hope Tank Davis whacks his ass in 4 or 5 rounds if you're as good as he says he is. You know,
it's going to be a brutal knockout, dog. It's going to be. There's going to be fucking clips of that on Twitter going out all weekend because he's going to knock his fucking head. It's going to be like the Leo Santa Cruz knockout.
Yeah, it's going to be a meme.
Yes, there you go. That's the word I was looking for. It's going to be a meme. Yes, sir.
It's going to be a meme. Now, a couple. I know you got more calls, but one more thing I wanted to touch on. Now, I'm not getting real political or nothing on you, Mikey, but you know, you were a military guy. You know, a couple of my uncles were in Nam. My granddad was in Korea. My cousin was over there in the Middle East in the 90s when, you know. Here's what everybody should be doing. Everybody should just pray that nothing, you know, nothing too serious happens and that nobody gets fucking hurt. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're right in the head, that's what everybody should be praying for, that nobody gets killed and nothing happens.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree.
Saying? And I know, you know, so that's, but you know, and I don't think it's, you know, I heard you talking about it a little bit earlier there with the schmaling in World War II. That's a different time. You know,
very
you're going
different.
back 80 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going back 80 years, you know, and he was flying the frickin' swastika flag a lot more than Bivol flies the Putin flag.
Exactly.
So
completely different situation.
You know. Completely different situation. And dude, I gotta say, I think Bivol will beat him. He just won't get the decision. I've been saying it since that fight was announced, and I thought Canelo looked a little shook up at that press conference. You got Bivol out there in the fucking cream jumpsuit looking like a Russian Paulie Walnuts over there, towering over the guy.
Dude, I'm looking forward to that fight, man. You know I'll keep it real. Yeah. If Bivol wins that fight and gets robbed, you know I'm going to talk about it. You know I'm going to keep it real. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, and you know what? And you give Canelo his credit, but in the same time, you're like, no, I thought Golovkin beat him. I'm not going to.
Exactly.
Just because I think you got to play, you know, you got to call it down the middle. But All right, brother. I'll let you get to your other calls. I just wanted to stop and say hello, shoot the shit for a few minutes. Hope everything's keeping well with you and the fam, brother. God bless you.
Thanks a lot, Paisan. I appreciate it.
Everybody.
All right, man. Have a great weekend, brother.
Have a good day.
Ciao.
Yeah.
There he goes, Johnny boy. All right. All right, guys. I'm looking at the chat. It's getting a little overly political. Chill with that shit. I don't want to see all that in there. I'm just looking at Rolly Romero's resume since Johnny brought it up. You guys got to remember, man, this is the part of the business of boxing that just annoys the shit out of me. And I get it. It's just part of being a fan of the sport. You see certain things. But August 15th, 2020, Rolando Romero fights Jackson Martinez in Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun Casino. And somehow, some way, Frank Lombardi has it 118-110 in his favor. Glenn Feldman 116-112. Don Trella 115-113. The majority of people that were there and saw this fight live thought that Jackson Martinez got absolutely ass raped by the judges. They thought he won that fight. But there is a plan and a strategy in place. Back then, and this is going back now a year and a half, there was a strategy in place right there to set this dude up as an opponent down the line for Gervonta Tank Davis. And I want you guys, I bring it up because I want you to understand the mentality of people in this business, especially certain platforms more than other. Okay. All platforms think out a year or two ahead and set things up. And like I talked about Top Rank having a build with their fighters. So everyone does this. But this was an instance where, because I want to say Rolando Romero or Raleigh Romero is a Floyd Mayweather Promotions guy. He fights out of that gym. He's one of the very, very few fighters Floyd has because he doesn't have a lot of fighters of note. Tank Davis is basically his one, right? And so this, and these judges here, Glenn Feldman, Don Trella, like these names, right? These guys judged a ton of Floyd Mayweather fights. And a lot of these, I want to say, is Trella a Vegas or a Nevada guy? Let me double check that. But I'm pretty sure he might be a Nevada guy. Nope, he's a Connecticut guy. Sorry about that. And so is Lombardi. So I was wrong. What about Feldman? Let me double check Feldman. Oh, all three of them are Connecticut guys. Wow, they work in different jurisdictions, but they're all three Connecticut guys. So, okay, makes sense why they were there scoring those fights. But they... veteran judges, I mean, come on, dude, 118-110, that's not the fight that happened. But this was a plan. And remember, they had it set up for Tank to fight Romero earlier, right? Late last year. And then the allegations against Romero blew that up. Tank ended up going in a different direction. Now they're bringing it back. So it just lets you know that over there on that side of the street, they have had this lined up and planned for probably 2 years. That they've been thinking about making this matchup. That's how far I would say their heels are dug in with the business plan with one Gervonta Tank Davis. So if you guys are expecting Tank to step it up and fight somebody, at the elite level or something like that anytime soon, you're crazy. They already got opponents lined up for this dude way ahead, and they're colluding with the WBA. Steven Espinoza over at Showtime. They have a whole plan with this dude. So, you can watch his fights and whatever. If you want to buy the pay-per-view, good for you. But as I always say, don't get mad when we don't rate him, when we don't have him rated on some of these, pound for pound lists and things like that, because he just doesn't warrant that type of rating. He just doesn't. It's not hating or anything like that. It's just telling you guys the truth. Yeah, Johnny says Jackson Martinez tuned Raleigh up and got Rob blind. Adam says that Raleigh's going to get DQ'd against Tank. He's dirty as shit. I could see that, and that would also be a way for Raleigh to save face, get paid, and get out of that fight without becoming a meme. So, maybe 3-4 rounds, he gets beat up a little, then he starts fouling. I could see that happening. Nigel with the super chat. Thank you so much, Nigel. I appreciate it, brother. He says Romero is a sacrificial lamb for Tank. Yeah. That's the way I see it. I think that's the way most logical, reasonable people see it. He is. And that's fine if they want to do that. But, man, they're charging $80 for that? Nordic Warrior says Raleigh is a meme, not a real fighter. Justin says Raleigh getting a pay-per-view fight is a tragedy. Tank says fighting bums and getting, or Tank stays fighting bums and getting no flack for it. Yeah, I'm not going to call him a bum. Not going to call him a bum. But yeah, being pay-per-view, I mean, come on, dude. Is this guy, I think I talked about this Monday. Is he even a top 20 lightweight? Lightweight's a pretty loaded division. Is Raleigh Romero in the top 20? We know he's not in the top 10. He's nowhere near that. Is he in the top 20? I don't know. Super chat pledge for my man, Tommy Boseo. Thank you so much, Tommy. I appreciate that, bro. He says, Sup Montero watching TNC all the way from Northern Canada at my job at a gold mine. Damn, dude, send me some. Northern Canada, bro. Now that's cold. That's a different kind of cold. I grew up in Detroit, which is almost Canada. I mean, we were just separated by a river. Right across the rivers, Ontario. But it's cold. But Northern Canada, that's a different kind of cold, dude. That's like North Pole cold. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Barry says, hit the like, guys. Yeah, hit the damn like button. All right? Hit that like button. Let's go back to these phones. I think we're going to go out to L.A. We got a 213 on the line. What's up? You were on the show.
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I had a quick question. It's not like boxing hasn't stopped, banned anyone from boxing. What about Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So I don't know enough to make a decision on what they should do, but it's not like it's unheard of. You know what I mean?
No, certainly not. And I mean, that's a really an outstanding point. What happened to Ali was fucked up, and I don't think anybody out there would defend it. When people refused, it didn't only happen to Ali, but in that era, if you refused to go into the draft, you were put in prison. Because Ali was a celebrity, he got away with doing that and not going to jail, and he ultimately got his license back. There were a lot of Americans who had to flee the country, and there were some Americans who were put in jail for refusing to go into the draft. So at least that didn't happen to Ali. But that's a great point. My thing is, the even bigger hypocrisy, bro, is that we routinely sanction events in China where they have concentration camps, in Saudi Arabia, in parts of the world where they treat women, gays, religious and ethnic minorities horribly. And we have no problem doing that. And now suddenly we're going to act righteous and say, oh, if you're a fighter who's of Russian descent, because the government there is, evil and being horrible right now and committing war crimes, we're going to punish anyone who's Russian. I don't know, dude. That's a slippery slope. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Now, the main reason I wanted to call you was I heard your show on Monday, and I was hoping that I could get you to reconsider number 3 all time for Joe Frazier. Or no, did you say it was?
I said it was Holmes.
It was on the Ring magazine. Larry Holmes.
This guy right here.
Because
Larry Holmes.
I don't know how you could put him above Marciano, because I'll just give you the story. He has the WC belt, gets the IBF belt, gives up the WBC belt, so he doesn't have to face the WBC mandatory. Goes on, doesn't want to face the IBC mandatory, and then gets the WBA belt. And then he loses to Six, and Six doesn't want to fight the mandatory and loses the WBA belt and keeps the linear belt. And the only way that was all cleaned up was with Tyson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Holmes definitely played some diva tactics there and some politics. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can see where I would say Marciano gets placed above Larry Holmes.
I would say, you know what? Listen, you're not going to get an argument from me. Now, when I said top 3, and when I said that Holmes might be the best ever, I said head to head. I think on any given night, I think he could have beat Ali at his best. I think he could have beat Lewis at his best. And those are my top 2 heavyweights. I know.
Okay.
That's controversial, right?
Oh, hold on. No, that's very controversial. But there's the biggest question then. Do you think he would have beat Tyson at his best?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Really?
Yes, I do.
You think he could have taken the power? I know it would have been a longer fight and he could have put out more punishment to Tyson, but you think Holmes could have taken that power?
Yes. Listen, I like Mike Tyson, but he's one of the most overrated heavyweight champions in boxing history. And I know that's controversial too, because you're just supposed to say Tyson was amazing. And he was.
Well, no, I can't do Tyson. You can't give up a belt and pay a guy off not to fight him to go fight Holyfield and then get your ass kicked. You know what I mean? I can't give him the.
I'll tell you this. Have you seen when Holmes fought Shavers in 78?
I've seen Holmes fight in that era, but the question really falls down to, was that era at the peak of boxing?
No. You
remember
Holmes's era was not strong. Holmes's era was not strong, but neither was Tyson's. Tyson's was extraordinarily weak. Tyson had a very weak era, and the 2 best heavyweights he ever fought were Holyfield and Lewis, and you saw how that went. But I invite you to go to YouTube and watch Larry Holmes fights with Ernie Shavers, who's one of the hardest punchers in heavyweight history. And they fought twice, but the first one was in 78, went to distance. At the second one, I can't remember when it was, a year or 2 later, and he stopped Shavers. He was down, but dude, Holmes took hellacious punches in that fight. That was a prime Larry Holmes. The Larry Holmes that Mike Tyson fought had been on the road partying and playing in a band, smoking pot, doing coke, sniffing coke off strippers' titties, and drinking for a year or 2. That's who Tyson beat.
And he still rocked Mike Tyson with his right hand during the fight. Yes.
So yes, prime for prime, I think Holmes would have beat Tyson. That's just my personal opinion.
I can't agree with you on that.
That's okay. That's okay.
Now, the one thing that I want to put out there is I hope PBC finds Thurman and James, because seriously, I need to see him fight someone credible somewhat before we really know if Thurman really has it still. And his last performance, he won the fight, but I really want to see him with someone like James, which is a safer bet for him right now, and make some money and while he's waiting for everything to happen. But the one thing I had a question of is, for PBC in the 140 division, what would you think of a box-off between Mateus, Prograis, Russell, Garcia, Mikey Garcia?
Man, I think it would be, Mateus is probably a little underrated. And then Prograis and then Russell. Oof. I think Mikey Garcia would lose.
I mean, it's a box off. It would be a box off, but the one thing that, if Taylor doesn't give us the belt, there would be boxing off for a belt that Tank Davis relinquished. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Tank Davis belts, dude. Yeah.
Well, he gave it up, and if Taylor doesn't give up the belt and he stays in that division, the only option, if they have a box off, would be for that belt that Tank gave up.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want it.
One of the 8,000. Oh, don't worry. The WBA and the WBC will create a belt for the PBC if they do a box off. But I think Taylor, you know they will. But Taylor will probably dump all his belts, dude. I think by the end of this year, he's going to be at 47.
Even though it looks like the money will be in the 140 right now. I mean, with his performance, and it doesn't make sense to stay.
I think that I don't know what will happen with Catterall. If they do a Catterall rematch in the UK, that's big money over there. That's big money. What other fight would be
Catterall, Ben, Connor Ben, or if he wants to step up, or what's the guy who fought Khan? Brooks.
Yeah, they could do that
Because
fight.
These are the ones that are easier for Aram to get, because I'm only working in the context of the promoters right now, because trying to want dream matchups is almost hopeless unless it's a unification or big super fight, you know?
Yeah, you make a good point, because Catterall just signed with Probellum, who is that's Richard Schaefer's new company. Bob Arum hates Richard Schaefer. Yeah, he'll say he's a Swiss banker. You know, he will not work with him. So we're not going to get a Taylor Catterall rematch. That shit's done. Yeah, that will not happen.
That's done.
Yeah, that will not happen.
If he moves up, then it's Ben or Brooks, basically. Or he fights Aram's Teofimo.
I still want to see that fight
between Teofimo.
Yeah.
Josh Taylor versus Teofimo?
If we could see Teofimo.
Or do you think that?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Or do you want to see Teofimo versus Jose Ramirez gets the victory or gets the Josh Taylor fight? Which one do you like?
I've wanted to see Teofimo Lopez fight Josh Taylor, because the styles of that fight I think would be fascinating. The problem is right now Teofimo is coming off a loss. You know, coming off a loss. So
that's why Jose Ramirez, Aram, number one contender. You know what I mean? He wants to go into that division. Unless you want to give him a really soft touch, I don't even know who Aram has.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, but you know what, dude? Sign me up for any of those. I mean, if we get to see Teofimo Lopez versus Ramirez, let's not forget Zepeda. If we could get Taylor Zepeda, and then we get Ramirez versus Teofimo, holy fuck!
Isn't Zepeda with Matchroom and those guys?
I don't think so. Let me double check, but I don't think so, because he's fought on top rank cards. But it doesn't matter anyway, because I think Zepeda is a mandatory.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so they can make that fight, and that's a great fight.
Yeah, and that's a great way for him to break into the division and justify him getting a Taylor fight if he decides not to move up.
And James Burrell in the chat just said that Regis Prograis signed with Probellum too. I forgot that. So a fight between Regis Prograis and Jack Catterall, I'd say, is very possible. Very possible. But we're not going to see a rematch between Taylor and Catterall. Bob Arum ain't having it. He ain't working with the Swiss banker. It ain't happening. So that's probably the way I see it going.
Wait, so Prograis left PBC to go with Probellum? Is that what you're
yeah, Prograis did kind of a one-off with PBC. So now he's with Probellum. So yeah, so a fight between
take Prograis' name out of the equation and put Brandon Lee's name in there.
Hey, I like that. Brandon Lee's a pretty entertaining fighter. He needs to step up. So
well, it's about time to step up to that level, and that's a really good test right there with that box off. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah, dude. You need to be the commissioner of boxing. You need to set this shit up. I like this.
Yeah. The entire game is way too crazy. And egos, I can't deal with those egos.
Oh, man. You have no idea, dog. These fucking people in this business.
No, you know way better. I'm from the outside looking in, and I'm already thinking, man, you guys are crazy sometimes.
Yeah, you kind of have to be crazy to even be involved in this shit, honestly.
Thanks for your call, or answering the call, Mike.
All right, thanks a lot, brother. Have a good weekend, man.
You too now.
All right. Chad in the chat says, Teofimo Lopez versus Montana Love. Sign me up for that shit. I'd love to see that. James says that Taylor's moving to 47, looking drained at 40. Yeah, I concur. I concur. Toby says, don't forget to hit the like button, guys, and support the channel. It's free. Yeah. We are bringing free boxing for all. That's what we're doing here. Yeah, man. I think let's see, guys. We are, you know what? We're almost an hour and a half in. We're going to do one more very, very quick call from the UK because it's about time for me to go get something to eat. But actually, I forgot to mention the college nationals, the college boxing nationals are going on right here in Atlanta right now. And my friend Billy Falco, he's a trainer out of Nashville. He's got one of his fighters is fighting on it. Should be fighting right about now. And then probably going to get some dinner later. So, all right, let's get this one more call. Oh, we're going to make it quick, though, and then we're out of here. All right. Let's see. 777, you are on the show. What's going on?
How you doing there, Mike? It's Nigel. You all right?
Yeah, what's up, Nige? How you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you, man. I'm good, thank you. Good, thank you. I just caught the tail end of the show, man, so I'm gonna have to give it a rewatch another time, man. But yeah, interesting. The last two calls just heard very interesting, very interesting. And I have to say, with regard to your assessment of Larry Holmes and Mike Tyson prime for prime and the people he would have beaten, I agree.
Thank you.
I really agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, it's like when you refer to Larry Holmes getting up from that hellacious right hand by Ernie Shavers. I've watched that fight many a time, and
yes,
to this day I'm like,
how the hell did he get up from that? And then get up from that and stop the dude. Like, crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. Yeah, in any other era, I genuinely believe Ernie Shavers would have been unified or possibly undisputed. It's just unfortunate for him. He's just around the era of Holmes and Ali and other notable heavyweights as well of that era, unfortunately. Yeah, damn shame. But just wanted to point out as well, I'm watching, we're watching the card in Dubai, Pro Bellum card, and an interviewer was talking to Regis Prograis, and Jack Catterall was in Dubai as well, watching the fight. So,
okay.
With regards to talking about a possible fight between Prograis and Catterall, once Josh drops all the belts and everything, it's certainly looking that way. You know what I mean? Seems like the chess pieces are moving somewhat, you know?
Yeah, I like that fight, man. It's a great contrast of styles. I like Prograis a lot. He's one of my favorite fighters, and just a cool guy. I got to talk to him a little bit when I did a story with him.
Yeah.
And he's a really like well-read guy, smart dude. Gets it. He just, since that loss to Taylor, his career is kind of flatlined a little bit. So I'm hoping him and Catterall is a good fight, and I hope that this signing with Pro Bellum gets him busy again. I think he beats Catterall.
Yes, I do as well. And Prograis is going to hammer Tyrone McKenna. As much as I love Tyrone McKenna, he's a tough Irishman. God damn it, he really is. But he's going to hammer.
It's hammer time. It's going to be hammer time. Yeah.
It's going to be hammer time. Seriously, I'll do the running man if I want to be.
Yeah.
But one more thing before I let you go, man. With regards, I just want to touch on something. There's so many things to talk to you about, but with regards to Anthony, with regards to upcoming fights with Anthony Joshua, okay, obviously Usyk's after the picture because he's in the Ukraine doing his thing. With who else do you think he would be best to go against, basically? Because I've got a few ideas. Someone, I mean, if he was to fight Otto Wallin, that makes sense because if you beat and stop Otto Wallin, that sends a message to Tyson, Fury, and the rest of his fans. You know what I mean? That sends a message saying, like, you know what I mean? And also, if he was to fight someone like Filip Hrgovic, that would be a good fight as well. Because I think with Hrgovic, I understand it's similar to Triple G situation. It's like high risk, low reward. But if you get him now before he gets any better, it's a good idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the only thing I would say about Hrgovic is he's got a mandatory or eliminator lined up, I think, with the IBF. I can't remember. I think it's the IBF.
Yes, you're right there. Yeah.
So he's going to go that route, right? I like Otto Wallin, though, because Otto Wallin is not a hard punching heavyweight. He's about 6'5". He's a southpaw. And his only loss is to Tyson Fury, who he took the distance, right? So
Yeah.
that would be a really, really good play if you're Joshua and you want to get in there against a guy that doesn't have the skill set or power to beat you. Probably, I would favor Joshua in that fight. And you're right. If he were to stop him and have a dominant victory, then that would be kind of a message to Fury and his people. Also, 6'5" southpaw. Valin's a couple inches taller than Usyk, but the southpaw, that's good practice for Usyk, and it keeps him busy. I think that'd be great matchmaking. I just don't know if Valin could do that fight, because he did do a few PBC fights. I don't think he's a PBC guy, though. I don't think so. So I think he's a free agent.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully, yeah. If that fight comes to pass, it would be good, man. But as long as he has Jerry Gamache in his corner, the mastermind, the real mastermind behind Teofimo's win against Loma.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Didn't he coach Valine against Fury? I'm sure he did.
Yeah, I want to say he's still with Gamache. I'm pretty sure he is.
Oh, if that's the case, that'd be good. That'd be good. All right, Mike. That's all she wrote, man. Yeah, you go grab something to eat, man.
All right.
Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it, man.
Have a good weekend, man.
You as well, man. Take care, bro.
Right,
thanks.
Bye. All right, guys, real quick. We got a question here from James Morrell. He says, Mike, give us your pick on Eddie Hall versus Thor. I don't know who these people are, but is that this weekend? That's tomorrow. So what? These two wrestlers, these two massive dudes, are these guys wrestlers? I don't know who they are, but they're fighting in Dubai? Flip a coin, man. I don't know. Who are these people? It's called the heaviest boxing match in history between strongmen Eddie Hall and I can't pronounce that name. We'll just call him Thor. It is the first boxing match for Eddie Hall, the fourth for Thor. Well, then we're going to go with Thor. All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Peace. I'll see you guys Monday, all right?